Welcome back everybody to Forza Motorsport. So we're continuing on with the practical performance championship where we're in a hot hatchback. We're in the Volkswagen Golf R from 2021. So yeah, here's the track that we're on.
You'll be flying around the outer loop carousel lap after lap.
So yeah, we're going to start the practice because yeah, we can't just jump into the next race, unfortunately. So yeah, we've got 3 of these practice laps to do, and then yeah, we'll move on to the race itself. So as you can see, it's raining for the first time. It's the first time dealing with weather that isn't just dry and sunny. So it's going to be interesting to see how the car handles in this slightly damp weather. So yeah, we're only 1 point in the lead on the championship overall, so yeah, there's no guarantees that we're going to win this championship right now, even though we are in the lead. But here's hoping that we do. So yeah, a few more issues with this game have come to light since the last video I did on this game. Or should I say the first part of this championship. First issue has been the upgrade system, which again is worse than I thought it would be. Not just because obviously you have to, you know, use specific cars to get specific upgrades for that certain car. You know, those upgrades don't translate to other vehicles or the same manufacturer that you're driving around in that car in. They have to be done for every single car. So not only is that an issue, but the issue has also come to light that a lot of the cars that you wish to upgrade, you can't do because most of the career races and the online races don't necessarily fit for every car. So the only way you can actually get any kind of XP to upgrade your car is by going on free play, which, yeah, doesn't sound exactly exciting in of itself, but then you also realise that it takes 2 to 3 hours per car to get the full upgrades that you want out of a car. Now granted, you don't always want every upgrade for every car. You know, I certainly don't always engine swap, for instance, or drivetrain swap or anything like that. But at the end of the day, the whole point of these upgrade systems for previous Forza games, either Horizon or Motorsport, has been experimenting and trial and testing, and you know, not every car works in a certain way, or not every car is suited to a certain class. So yeah, the whole reason the upgrade system worked was because you could, you know, instantly put a car into A class. Oh, that doesn't work. Alright, then I'll drop it down a class, or I'll try a different car in this class that's similar to the one that I just tried. And that's what the freedom of Forza Horizon 5, for instance, gave you beautifully, and just like every other Forza game before this one did. So that is a big issue, to be honest, and it's the sole reason why I have not been able to do any upgrade orientated videos on this game yet. Can't do a how fast will it go, because I'm not doing 3 hours of racing in a car just to do one video. That is just not only impractical on my part, but impossible, because like I said, not every car is suitable for a certain thing. I could spend 3 hours upgrading, say, this car for How Fast Will It Go episode, and it turns out it's not any good, and that's just 3 hours down the drain. So yeah, that's why you're unlikely to see any of those kind of videos, or say even extreme power no handling or anything like that, purely because the upgrade system is so restrictive in its current form. Hopefully it'll change, but I'm not really holding out much hope in that regard, because it's seemingly something that is fundamental to the game itself, especially with how much they were talking about it. So yeah, that is the main big issue. The other one is that there isn't much of a career mode. Now I'm going to obviously make the most of the career mode itself, because yeah, not every championship I feel can be done in one video. Most likely going to be 2, maybe some are going to be 3, but this championship is going to be 2 videos. But yeah, there isn't a huge amount of the career mode, and then on top of that, obviously the online is very restrictive in terms of the kind of cars you can drive. When I came onto the online few days ago it was only R-class vehicles that were able to be driven outside of the qualifying series, which is only a one-make qualifying series. You're only in the one Honda race car. So again, that just seems really, really restrictive. So yeah, there is a lot to like about this game, but the big issues, the car list not being quite as, you know, in detail as you'd expect, and the lack of flexibility in terms of what you can and can't do is just really, really restrictive, and to the point where it just doesn't come across as fun. But we got a good lap time in there, I feel, for this race at Watkins Glen, so yeah, got a good feel for the track. The car doesn't really feel like it's being pushed too hard in any regard there, so yeah, I feel like we can get away with a 14th position start. We've usually started at 12th because that's mid-level, but I'm going to try 14th this time. So yeah, let's see there. Then we can change our fuel and tyres. Again, that is something I really, really like about this game, is the fuel and tyre strategies, which we haven't had before. So we're in 5 laps, so we don't need a huge amount. We'll go for 25%. Can't change our tyres at the moment for whatever reason, but yeah, so let's go race. See if we can get a decent position in this, which may or may not influence our first place position in the championship overall, but you never know. And to be honest, I don't think the tyres really need changing. We're in an all-wheel drive road car, so you know, it's not like we've got slicks or anything like that. Still don't know why it's keeping the driver liveries on the game, on each car. I've specifically asked for that to not be the case, and yet, again, something else is wrong with this game that is just not working as it should.
Total time penalty is about a second.
God knows why it wasn't cutting a corner. I mean, penalty system does seem a bit imbalanced, or not always on the nose, to be honest, as well, which again is another issue. We're already into 5th place, which is good. Now, I will say this, even though it's forced me down the route that I didn't really particularly want to go down when it comes to online racing, I did do the first race in that qualifying series with the Honda, and it was a great race. I will admit that. It was a really, really fun one. I think I got from 9th position to 2nd, which is obviously quite a big leap in the podium, in the positions for the overall race, especially considering, you know, I think it was only 3 or 4 laps or something like that. So yeah, I did really, really enjoy that race. I just wish it gave me the freedom to choose the cars that I want to choose. There's no reason why whatsoever you can't just have what it is like on Forza Horizon 5 right now, where you can go from B class to the top class. I think the top class is S1, and choose any car you want to race in either of those classes. Now granted, not every car is going to fit in every class, because there are some cars that are in A class and then obviously not going to be able to race in B class, but it does work overall as a system, and yeah, that just is not the case with this game. I just don't see why they've gone for these very restrictive, very rigid, time-based kind of, you know, championships. Just doesn't seem necessary whatsoever. It's the same with the career mode. There's new events that are added every now and then, but they're only added every week, and does not take a week to finish that championship off. So again, very restrictive. There's just no real reason for it at all. And when it comes to the car list, it just feels like they had this idea of putting in race cars, but they couldn't fulfill it for whatever reason, because as someone else has pointed out online on YouTube, look, there are a lot of race cars on the game, but most of them aren't from the same year of championships, aren't in the same kind of class of a championship, and therefore, even though they are technically, say, a GT3 racing car, they're not able to compete with other GT3 cars on the game, because they're not from the same kind of period of those kind of races. So it's just, yeah, a very mixed bunch, and then you add on to the fact that there's very limited amount of road cars that are actually, you know, in terms of variety, which is extended to the fact that there are a lot of manufacturers aren't even here or have only one car. Biggest one being Pagani, which just makes no sense at all to only have the Hawira BC. I have no idea why you don't have like the Zonda R, which, you know, is a track car. You know, it's a perfect fit for this game, and yet it's not here. Now, whether or not it's as a reward or by doing a certain amount of races or a certain race or anything like that, I don't know, but that should be a car that is available from the get-go in the auto show, not hidden or not even available at all. This makes no sense to me whatsoever. The car list as a whole just doesn't make sense. Because we were talking forever about how, you know, they want the game to be about racing and different kind of racing divisions and all of this lot, and yet there's a very limited amount of racing divisions in this. I don't even think Formula E is in this car, which has not been the case for previous Forza Motorsport game. I think they were in Forza Motorsport 7, and even though I had an issue with the number of them being in the game, because at the end of the day they're all the same, but just had different liveries. That's the only issue I had with those in the game. They were a suitable, you know, kind of race car to have in that game. So why is they not in this? You know, they are a racing division, they're still going strong. Makes no sense to have those not in, so it's just a really confused, muddled game, and this game ultimately comes across like Forza Motorsport 5 did, although they don't have quite the same excuse of trying to get it out for the console's launch or as near as, because this game has come out well after the Xbox Series X has launched, and therefore they had plenty of time to put as many cars in as possible. 500 odd does not seem like the maximum that this game could handle, and yeah, give us more tracks. Nürburgring, the full Nürburgring not being on this game is a complete travesty, and then add on to that the upgrade system, the restrictive career mode and online mode, and you've got a game that has very good physics, has some nice cars that have been added to a Forza game for the first time in a while, has some new tracks which are welcome, but ultimately, yeah, it's just lacking in pretty much every other area. So, yeah, it's just the way it goes. We've managed to get into first place though, so we will secure our current position in the championship for now. This Golf R is a very competent hot hatchback. A little bit of understeer, but not too much. But again, if I was going to choose a hot hatchback from the modern era, I would not choose this car. But again, because there's not a huge variety of cars, and obviously don't start off with the most amount of money, this was just the option to go for, to be honest. There are a few cars I missed out on in terms of talking about on my car list. I'm not sure whether I mentioned this in the previous video, but there is a newer version of this Golf R that I am going to be trying out, giving a review of that car. There are at least 9 to 11 maybe cars that I have eyed up that I can give a review on this game, but there aren't a huge amount, to be honest. Obviously a few of those are newly added to the game. But I have been flicking through the car list overall and looking at every car possible, because the good thing about this game is that you can view the car before buying it, and that includes, you know, opening it up, opening the hood up, the boot, the interior, and that's a good way of finding out whether or not a car is worth buying to review on this game. And I found a few via that means, so that is another good part of this game. And another good part is the fact that the cars don't cost very much at all. I don't think there's any car in this game that costs more than $500,000, which again is a good thing. But that does kind of go against their whole ethos of not being about collecting as many cars as possible. So yeah, again, very muddled in terms of the direction of this game, but still, we got a first place, so not too bad at the end of the day. What were we lap wise? I think we were the only one below 1 minute 30. Yep, everyone else is above 1 minute 30, so good lap time even with the penalty, which, yeah, I don't think was really, you know, justified. Still, a good race there, and even though we are one of the lower classes in terms of PI, we gained 13 places there, so we'll get that big chunky bonus that we went for by putting us in 14th place to start with. And we now are 6 points clear of second place and 9 points ahead of third. So yeah, we're doing a good job on this championship so far. Despite all of my quibbles with this game, there is definitely the racing aspect is something to enjoy. We should hope for a racing game, but it's just a shame that there's so many barriers and so many restrictions to getting to that kind of racing aspect to start with. We've got a nice 25 grand there, we've got some parts, but again, that's only 3 parts for an upgrade system that has many more than that to offer. Right, so let's move on to the next race. Not upgrading, I just don't really care for upgrading, and with the upgrade system being so restrictive, I don't want to use my points up on a car that ultimately I'm not really going to choose in online racing. So again, that's another restrictive element. So we were at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Been a long time since I've been on this track.
130 degrees here on a hot, humid day, which may reduce your tire's grip around this road course during the race.
I'm sure we'll be fine. I'm going to up the difficulty 1, just because we got quite a easy position in that previous race. Didn't feel like too hard to get through the AI, which, even though I haven't had major complaints with, I have seen other people have justifiable complaints, and that is that races become far too spread out during the course of a race. You'll most likely get a load of people behind you that are far behind. You might get one person that's right in front of you, but then you'll also have a couple of people that are way ahead. And yeah, I think that's probably been the case for some people because their difficulty is way higher. I haven't come quite across that, but I've also obviously, like with the previous race, had quite an easy time getting to a certain position. So yeah, again, that's another issue which apparently was supposed to be revolutionised for this game, and yet that has not been the case seemingly. One final issue I've come across as well has been the tuning setup for cars from stock, which, as someone else has pointed out, again, the tyre pressures have been way above normal. Usually on Forza Horizon 5, for instance, they're set at 30, maybe 31 psi, whereas here I think they're more in the region of high 30s to low 40s, which yeah, can really mess up your handling, and the same has been for suspension settings. I don't think for one moment this car is as roly-poly as it's coming across here. Definitely seems to have more body roll than I'd imagine a Volkswagen R would have, especially when it comes to squirreling out of making a mistake, that is. See, it's quite wobbly there over that bump. It's certainly seemingly coming across more as suspension travel than just generally being jostled around by a bump there. So yeah, I'm not trying to be negative about this game whatsoever. Like I said, for a long time I've been looking forward to this game, ever since pretty much Forza Motorsport 7 had its support dropped in terms of adding new stuff. I've been wanting this game, so yeah. Ultimately, it comes across as a very technically competent game, outside of some minor graphical glitches and the like, but when it comes down to the rub of the whole ethos of what previous Forza games have been like, it's just muddled and unfocused and lacking, quite frankly. So yeah, hopefully it will improve over time, but a game should not launch like this. Now granted, it's not out technically yet. I am obviously part of the early access crew, you know, people that got the pre-order bonuses and the like, not just the car pass and such, but obviously the early access by 5 days. So who knows? Maybe a whole load of content is just going to be foisted onto this game when it properly gets released on the 10th, I think it is. So maybe that's going to be the case, and they're just easing people into this game, easing the servers in and everything like that, and everything's going to become on. But if that is the case, it still does not solve the issue of the upgrade system. Because as much as I can see the restrictive, career mode, or the lackluster career mode, and the restrictive online mode, and all that changing, with the full-on release, I do not see the upgrade system changing anytime soon. Which is a shame, to be honest. Because I've loved the upgrade system in the previous games. It's always worked. It's never had any issue in terms of progression or anything like that. Oh, someone's off-roading for some reason. Yeah, never had any issues with progression or anything like that. That's never been an issue for me. I've never heard of it being an issue for anyone. There just seems no excuse for restricting it so much. So yeah, more of my thoughts about issues with this game. Which, if you don't agree with, I'd love to hear your thoughts on why the upgrade system is positive or not. But yeah, I just don't see the positives from it at all. And there are many people that don't either. Not to name drop or anything, but the YouTube channel Fairways, for instance, did a really rather quite in-depth video about this game and what it's like. And after 15 minutes he said, ignore everything I've said because of this, and the upgrade system is what they mentioned. And I can perfectly see why. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to restrict the upgrades that much, and yet you aren't providing enough career mode races, enough online races to upgrade, you get the XP for each individual car, then what's the point in it? That means that a good 40% of the cars, at least, are no doubt unupgradable in the current form of the career mode and the online races. And if the online races or the career mode do become, available to certain cars, they're only going to be timed. You're only going to have a certain amount of time to get a certain car that you want raced around enough to be able to upgrade it fully. And that just makes no sense to me whatsoever. None at all. Right, we're going to stick with 12th, because it's apparently saying we're only going to get to 8th, which is concerning. But yeah, we'll stick with the difficulty being up 1 over what we already had it on in the previous race. Right, so fuel and tyres. We do not need that amount of fuel. Say 30%? Yeah, 30% is enough. Just a little bit of leeway for if the car over revs or anything like that. But it is a very economical car, this, despite the huge amount of power that it's got going on. Very tight track. People are jostling for position here. Oh dear. Slight whack on the side there. See, the AI behaving like that is what really gets me. See that my nose of my car was there, and yet he just drove right into the front corner of my car. very aggressive seemingly the AI are at times. See that Vauxhall then slamming into the Mini. Well, we're in the position that it said would get in. Oh dear. Veloster there braking early. Well, we've exceeded the predicted position, so that's good. What the hell was the Subaru doing there? It had the inside line and yet it stuck to the outside. Oh dear. I'm breaking myself there. Well, the Subaru went off, that Ford went off. Which is very helpful. As you can see, it's the same kind of thing again. You've got all of the people pretty much bunched up at the back. Maybe one is going to be competitive with me, and yet the rest launched off into the front. So yeah, for the foreseeable future, Forza Horizon 5 is going to be running alongside this. Probably in terms of video amount, it's going to be more than this, because there's still plenty to do on that game. We're even adding new cars to it. 4 of which I think are new, coming via a car pack, and we've got 3 that are new coming via the festival playlist, and then we've got another one that is coming via the festival playlist that we've had in the previous Forza Horizon game. So they're still adding plenty of cars, and that means that there's no reason really for me to stop playing that game at all. And to be honest, it's complete opposite in terms of tone and freedom and anything like that compared to this game, in all honesty. I do pretty much whatever I want with Forza Horizon 5. With this I feel entirely restricted to a certain form of gaming, which just hasn't been the case for 7 previous games to this, and never mind the other 5 Forza Horizon games, and suddenly we're going down the route of you do what we want, not what you want. Completely screwed up that part of the track. I do think though that as much as the penalty system isn't perfect, that it has promoted a better driving culture on the online mode, which is the one thing I want you to change the most from, say, the current Forza Horizon game or the previous Forza Motorsport game, which had many issues, no matter what they tried to do, with it being the proximity arrows or anything like that. It just didn't seem to cure the bad driving styles of people, whereas now it does seem to have gone in the kind of direction that is better. Obviously I'm not yet to completely explore everything about the online modes, but just from that first qualifying race alone, it did feel like a completely different game in that regard. So yeah, all for the penalty system in of itself, but it does need a little bit of tweaking here and there, I feel. Seemingly gaining on 4th place. Much better through that section this time round. Speed. We are struggling to gain, reduce the distance up between us and fourth. Top 5 isn't terrible, certainly more than the predicted position was, which as you saw was only 8th place, but I think for now I've put the difficulty perhaps a little bit too high. But then as you saw in the last race, one difficulty lower and we got a clear win. One difficulty higher and we're 4 positions lower, so again the difficulty seems to be a little bit hit and miss, to be honest. So we'll probably lower it down for the next race. Might have been just Watkins Glen that was easy because it wasn't a particularly difficult track, whereas this is a lot more complex of a track than that one was. But I'm happy enough with 5th. Certainly not the worst position we could have had. And it hopefully won't ruin our current 1st place position in the championship overall.
Well done. P5.
Still, gained 7th places, 7 places, so that's pretty good. Top 3 actually stayed the same, so that is pretty weird. And 2 of those had dirty laps. We've dropped down 1 place. We've got a 2-point difference now over us and the guy in the Astra. So, yeah, everything to play for with this last race. So, yeah, let's see what's gonna happen. So he did all that racing and all it gave me was a couple of cosmetic items. Yeah, doesn't really seem worth it at the end of the day, does it? So we're at the Nürburgring GP circuit, not the full Nordschleife, or however you say it. Which, yeah, again, it's a complete travesty that isn't in this as a base, because, you know, they can talk about the physics changing and everything to the point where they had to completely redesign the track, but, you know, they put several other tracks in this game that we've had before. They've obviously must have had to be redesigned at some point, so, you know. Right, we're going to turn off... what is it? Can I turn off visual damage? I'm a bit annoyed that it's... I want proximity arrows on though, to be fair. I said off with the driver designs. I don't know why they're still on. Am I not able to turn off visual damage? Don't tell me I'm not able to, that's stupid. Been able to do that in every other game prior, why are we not able to do that now? That makes no sense. Okie dokie then, whatever. Maybe it's in difficulty? No, because even Club Rules has cosmetic damage only. Well, that's stupid. Well, let's start some practice. This is a track I'm very familiar with because it was one of the staples of the online races for Forza Motorsport 7. Whether or not it's changed at all, I'll have to see. I basically wanted to turn cosmetic damage off because when it comes to, you know, taking a picture from the replay after this race, you know, damage on a car doesn't look particularly good for a thumbnail as far as I'm concerned, so yeah. Just try and work around that, I guess. Tyre squeal there. Do like for the fact for these little timed parts of the track that tells you what part of the track it is, because I have no idea about the names of any of these parts on any track, to be honest. Oh dear. That's a little bit too quick. Is that called Hyundai Uncurved because it's sponsored by Hyundai, or is it just coincidental that it's called that? I don't know. I do still wish these practice laps weren't mandatory, especially in terms of the number. Because if someone wants to, you know, learn a track, they'll learn it. You know, if they feel they need to, they will. I don't see the reason to force people into learning a track, especially if they're already proficient enough at it. I know this won't be a popular view at all, but I am annoyed that there aren't any SUVs on this game. They can be fun to drive and race, as far as I'm concerned, and yes, there were issues on lobbies with them being used by certain people, but that's no reason whatsoever to completely remove them from the game. Just my view on that. I really don't like the fact that they've taken them out. Got to drastically improve for this last lap. Although to be fair, that is only a bonus of time. But I would like to get it. these videos, by the way, won't consistently be in 4K, just because of how long these championships are going to be in terms of the videos themselves. The previous one only was because I had a huge amount of time to do that, but other ones less likely to be. Have we done it? Yes, just. Oh no, we didn't. Oh well, not bothered, it's only a bonus. Alright, so let's get on to the final race for this championship. Like I said, I'm going to knock the difficulty down 1, just because, yeah, the increase was drastic over from Watkins going to the Miami one. I feel like that's purely down to the circuit being a lot more difficult for Miami, so let's see if that's the case for this one. We're going to stick with 12th position as well, because this is quite a narrow circuit in places, and there aren't a huge number of overtaking points either. Right, 26%. Gives us a 2-lap leeway, just in case. Right, let's see if we can do better than 5th place this time round. So there's a mad corner this bit online usually. That won't be the case with the new penalty system. Again, you saw me take off the designs, and yet still several are there. What the hell is that Subaru doing? Talk about ruining everyone else. I'm going to rewind that. That was not my fault. Talk about ruining everyone else's race. Jesus Christ. Now that is typical online behaviour that shouldn't be the case for online racing nowadays. The penalty system. Where is he going? I swear these avatars, or whatever they call them now, act far worse than they did on that one qualifying race that I did. And I know that's only one race, but yeah, I had no issues with any of the people I was racing against in that. Let's see, it's already turned into a destruction derby. Why would you pull out to someone that's already on your outside? See, they're there, you got mirrors, use them. Fine, I'll go on the inside then. Oh no, wait, you'll probably just turn into me there. Nope, because I finally got just enough ahead of you. Ah, you went to the sand trap. Karma sucks. Yeah, it seems to only react to you being alongside them when you're just ahead of them. That Ford did not react at all until I was just ahead of him. Then it reacted. Made up a decent amount of positions there, 6 of them in one lap. Let's see if we can make up any more this time. Looking like the difficulty on Watkins Glen was right. because it was the track that was making it so easy for me to get to first place, and not the difficulty itself. Clear of 7th place, so it's just everyone up in front we've got to worry about. Improve on 5th, I'll be happy with that. I'm not going to do that by completely outbraking ourselves. A little bit more back. Yeah, you do gain quite a lot of speed on this back straight, so got to be careful as you're braking. Gaining on the hind eye. Round hind eye and curve. I remembered that one. Let's draft behind them. Got some clean air. Made that pass stick, that's good. Right, let's find 4th. To get you, Mr. Ford. Gonna get you. Oh dear, that's a little bit dirty there, but got away with it. Ford clipped the inside. Come on. Make up places. Gained ground though. One thing you do have to take into account, obviously, is the fact that the more you go around a track, the less fuel you're going to have, and therefore your speed is going to increase, and therefore your braking zones are going to change. Luckily the Ford went wide there. So that's another interesting thing about this game, that we've never really been able to deal with before. Right, Right, so we've gotten into a higher position than the last time, so that's good, but podium position would be better. But yeah, as you can see, first place is roared off. Second place is also quite
Final
far
lap.
ahead as well.
You got this.
But third place is more within reach. Not got long to go. We really need to make up ground now, preferably. No, too wide. Can't rewind either. God damn it. Defend. Losing this position because of one mistake. Well, it's a better position than last time, but yeah, not great. But considering we're in a lower class, I think that's fine. I don't know why though it doesn't, you know, put you in a lobby or a race with similar class cars. So yeah, the fact that I'm in C class and they're in B class when we should be in C class as well, that irks me. I didn't realise that was going to be the case. But regardless, we have moved up a position to first place again. So we did win the event overall, or the championship overall, so I am happy with that. But still, would have been nice to have them in the same kind of class rather than, class above, because that isn't the case with like Forza Horizon 5, for instance, where the cars have their that you're competing against, Dravatars, for instance, have their cars as the same kind of PI as you are. So yeah, that's going to be something I'm going to have to keep in mind for future races, that upgrades may well become more essential. But regardless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. And we've got on that as well. Bye again.